here. Welcome to part 3 of the AI Playbook. If you guys were on last couple of weeks, we dove into quite a few things. The first week we talked about just the general myths of AI, and then talked about how to create your prompt. So the playbook, it asks a lot of really good questions to help you formulate your prompt so that what you put in gets you exactly what you need and want from the AI, the model. So I'm going to go off of my presentation. So I'm just going to go back a little bit here. 1 second while I share my screen. Okay. So we talked about perfecting your prompts, specifically using that RICE model last week. So this is where we talked about, oops, sorry about that. So RICE meaning role, instructions, context, and examples. So explaining to the AI assistant, who the assistant is and how it should communicate based on what your main goals are. 1 second while I get this up correctly. Get that, move that out of the way. Sorry, my Zoom toolbar was in the way. Okay. All right, and then you're going to tell the model about what to do and what not to do. So you're setting those rules and giving it those clear directions, and you're giving it exactly what tone words to shape the response. Like if you want it formal, casual, friendly, serious, humorous, professional, et cetera, et cetera. And then you go into the context. So you want to add any extra information that the model needs, like the data it wouldn't already know. So you put this near the end since it may change with every single use. And then you provide examples. So whether that's an example of an Instagram post caption that you really like and you want to kind of mirror the same voice and call to action, things like that. So providing those examples kind of gives you then your ideal response. So it helps guide the model's responses to your liking. So then we talked about a few hacks. So putting into the model, the AI assistant, ask me questions first, or show your work and cite your sources. Again, most AI large language models will already cite the sources. So when you are putting your prompt in or you're asking a question, things like that, typically it will already cite those sources, which is nice. The action plan hack, so break it down. The options hack, give me 3 different solutions or examples. So these are all things that you can feed the AI model so that it's giving you more specific responses. Then you have critique your own answer. What am I missing? And then argue the opposing view. So these are all different hacks that you can think of as you're perfecting your prompts, depending on what you're using it for. And we're going to get into more of the putting this into action today. We talked about reoccurring tasks. So, utilizing it for those reoccurring tasks to set automated reminders that you schedule to show up at a set time and repeat, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, etc. So you want this to act like a executive assistant, basically, giving you exactly what you need when you need it. Oops. And then projects. So working through projects, which are basically like file folders and smart workplaces. So they help to bundle everything related to a specific task, a deal, an initiative, so nothing gets lost in your chat history. We talked a little bit about more of that voice assistant. So, activating that voice assistant through those AI models, just giving you a little bit more of a faster approach to getting those answers that you need. So a lot of those models ChatGPT, Gemini will offer those voice assistants too, especially if you're on your phone, you're in your car, and you need to get answers fast. There's also those AI voice apps. So we talked about 11 Labs Reader and Notebook LLM as a couple of examples. So if you have a couple articles that you haven't read yet, or just different written content that you just haven't had the time to sit down and read, put those into some of those voice apps to then generate those into audiobooks or a podcast. And then you can listen to those in your car on your way to showings, or if you have a 45-minute drive somewhere. Utilizing AI, such as those voice apps, in that capacity, which again just saves you time and makes you kind of take the time to read those or listen to those as a podcast. Okay. So just wanted to go through that a little bit in terms of a recap of what we talked about last week. But this week is all about putting it into action and tying everything up. But one thing that we did last week was specifically how to formulate that 36 touch, how to create a framework. And so what was really exciting was putting that all into, and I used ChatGPT as my AI assistant, and it spit out exactly really what I was looking for in terms of a 36 touch. So this week, we're going to talk a little bit more about social media. We're going to talk about newsletter creation, some of that message matching. I'm going to go into specifically how you can utilize AI, but then utilize like Gmail templates so that you can take really formatted responses that you consistently use, whether it's to your clients or preferred vendor partners, really anybody, people on your team, and how you can create those email templates so that you're not rewriting those every single time you have that same response. And then we're going to talk a few other things. So there's also, it's kind of nice with the playbook, they break it down for these prompts into some different sections here. So the first one is that marketing and client engagement. And I'm not going to go through every single one of these because that could take us a whole couple of hours. But what the AI playbook does really well is it breaks down each and every one of these and gives you actionable steps. So we're just going to touch on a few of those and then how you can implement them. Market education and skills. So role playing, conversations, objection handling, all of that, you can utilize AI, which is really exciting. Property and transaction support. So a property visualizer. I know a lot of agents have started using AI for virtual staging. So that's super exciting. Instead of having to pay a photographer or a different company to do that. But most of them just know you have to have a pro version in order to upload photos and have that capability. Condition consultant, inspection estimator, low appraisal insights, red flag finder, all of these different things are detailed within that playbook. And then we got more strategy-based prompts like tax strategy optimization, mortgage mastery. And then if you're working on your 411, how to really engage with that and put that into action instead of just goals, having more detail with that 411. Yeah, so a lot of really, really great things. And then we'll go into compliance a little bit. So let me back up a little here. And I want to go into more content creation right now. So let me get my screen up here. And I just want to ask the group before I get started, who is using AI for content creation, whether that's social media, whether that's for a newsletter, whether it's for your 36 touch when you're creating email content. If anyone wants to come off mute or put it in the chat, feel free to do so. I'm just curious what everyone's using it for. Kathleen's using it. Okay, awesome. Is it for social media? Is it for newsletter?
Um, it's everything. So social media, and like just email, and chat, content.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, is it more so for like the creation of the posts? Or is it like responses to people on social media? Sometimes you can get even specific as to like generate certain responses as well.
Yeah, I think it's everything, all the above, because sometimes a new approach as to interacting with them, as well as if there is a question and I want to know how to phrase it correctly,
Hmm.
I'll just ask for some help and thoughts.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's a perfect example. All right. Okay, so I'm going to dive into the actual playbook here and pick out a couple of these to go through. Okay, so here's the playbook. So last week, like I said, we went through the 36 touch. And again, what I really like about these playbooks is how specific they get with each of these pieces, each of these different prompts that you can use AI for. So we talked about the 36 touch last week. This week, I want to talk a little bit about social content creation. So I love that it gives you this framework right here. So thinking about your hook. So is it a hack? Is it a how-to? Is it common mistakes that first-time homebuyers make? Is it myth busting, reality checks, things like that? What's your hook with your social media? And then you have a trigger. So whether that's desire, they want something, if it's a new listing and it's got a beautifully redone kitchen and it's under a certain price point. Fear, are you losing out in the market right now? Mortgage rates have dipped a little bit low. Are you taking advantage of that? Ask a question or an objection. So think of that trigger. And then what's your angle? Is it more educational? Is it more of an industry insight, promotion that you're doing, a case study, or a success story for one of your clients? So these are all just different things to think about when you're formulating your prompt for a social media post. So you can ask the user, so you can choose one of these, a hook, trigger, or angle. You can draft 3 different posts, 120 words each. List the posts, no hashtags, no invented facts. Offer quick edit options. Do you want it shorter? Do you want it punchier? New call to action. Maybe you want to swap out the trigger, change that up a little bit. And then you can rewrite it, give some feedback, et cetera, et cetera. So I went into Chat GPT and I started off with, okay, create 3 scroll stopping posts for a first time home buyer in the Milwaukee metro area. I think it's also important, and it's noted a lot in the playbook, to include your target audience and your target market. Make these posts educational, informative, and interesting. Include a call to action to get people to comment, share, or reach out to me for more details and insight into the market. So it provided me 3 options, because that's what I asked for, that I can drop straight into social media. So post number 1, myth 1, you need 20% down to buy a home. So you can include, and this is something you literally copy and paste into a social media post. You probably want to include some sort of image to capture people's attention as well. And that's where you can get a little bit more, if you have some, you know, images from like a lifestyle shoot, or it's like your headshot of you like working at like a kitchen on your laptop, that's where you can get a little creative too, of just posting that image along with this content for the social media post. So you've got your myth, your reality, and then just a couple of insights here. So then there's that call to action. Drop a money emoji in the comments if you want me to send you details on first-time buyer programs available today. So that's something that I could literally just copy, paste, and you can schedule it. So through Meta, you can schedule all of these social media posts on your Facebook and Instagram accounts so that you're not doing this every single day. Take some time, schedule it, whether that's Monday mornings every single week. Maybe you do it every 2 weeks. You start scheduling your posts so that you're taking 30 minutes of like tech time or social media time to schedule these in your accounts, your Facebook and Instagram accounts. So then I've got myth number 2. And the great thing about this too is that you can make it a series. So if you want to do the sort of Mythbuster like series every single Monday and you post those Monday mornings, or really any day and time, you can make that a series. So again, schedule these and you just know that they're going consistently. Myth number 2, renting is cheaper than buying. So, and just a note, always make sure you're reading this through as well. So you are ultimately the expert. AI is just pulling from information and things that are online and other resources. The other thing too is that I should probably go in and make sure that I'm using one of those hacks to cite the source. Myth number 3, you should wait for interest rates to drop. Myth, it's better to wait. Reality, waiting can mean paying more if home prices keep climbing. Use some of those stats that Charlie shares with their lore report every single month. You can literally grab screenshots of that graph. I think he detailed that, I think it was last week, with the home prices rising year over year. So you can always take some of those images and discussion that happen on Tuesday team meetings. Yeah, it goes into a little bit more insight. In Milwaukee, prices have continued to rise year over year. Getting into the market sooner allows you to build equity, but others are waiting on the sidelines. The best time to buy is when you're ready, not when the headlines tell you to. Comment ready if you'd like me to send you the latest Milwaukee market update to see if now is the right time for you. And that's when you can connect with people and you can actually share that lore report out with them. So we've got the resources for you to follow up with these people and with your clients. All right, so there are those 3 social media posts. Again, you can tie those into an image of yourself. You could tie it into an image of just Milwaukee with like a headline overlaid. So a lot of different things that you can do with this. And the AI model is always going to like kind of ask you additional questions after it provides you the output. So it's saying, would you like me to also format these into 3 matching Canva style templates with suggested colors, fonts, graphics, so they're scroll stopping visually? Yes. So this is where you can kind of see exactly like the steps that it's going to take and how you can continue to build out your prompt essentially. All right. So because this is strictly, and this is a free version of Chat GPT, it's just going to give me some options in terms of the layout, just to kind of get some ideas in terms of what would go well with this particular post in terms of the image. So it's detailing out the layout. So split screen design, left side, bold text, myth, right side, reality, use large headline font, add a short supporting statement underneath, and then we've got colors. And honestly, this is something where if you have your own brand kit, obviously go with your brand kit. Same thing with fonts. And then for graphics, $, small piggy bank, things like that, use a fun arrow. So just to give you some examples of what that image could look like. Again, you can kind of take this and run with it however you want to, display that. But this is at least just giving you some ideas. All right. And then it's even going as far as, you want me to create sample Canva mockups. Let's see. Yep, since I can't directly export Canva templates, here, I'll give you step-by-step build instructions. Yeah. So it's not going to actually give me those images. Again, I'd have to have more of a pro version in order to get that. But it's just going to continue going on and on about providing additional insight and kind of further that that process for you. All right. Does that help with some examples for social media? Again, this was just, think through the hook, trigger, and your angle. So kind of keep that in mind as you're mapping out your social media posts and thinking through ideas. I think that's really helpful when you don't know what to post, because that's always the struggle, right? All right. Anyone have questions on that? Let me just check. Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to go into this next one here, message matching. So, so you're going to use this when you don't know what to say. So basically, the prompt is going to rewrite your message to match your personality. So whether you're persuasive or not passive aggressive. So here's a prompt here. So you can say you are a communication strategist, personality profiling expert skilled in adapting messaging based on psychological frameworks such as the DISC model, Myers-Briggs, etc. I will give you one brief summary of a real estate prospect's personality profile and a message I want to send them. So if you're communicating with like a difficult client and you just need an email drafted, that you're just ensuring that it sounds professional and exactly the right tone that you want to convey. This is really a nice sort of structure here. So based on your expertise, please rewrite the message to be emotionally resonant and tailored to the recipient's cognitive and emotional style. Optimize the tone, word choice, structure, and emotional triggers to improve engagement and receptivity. Here is the personality of the prospect. So you describe that, and then put in the message that you want to optimize. So again, just using it for just basic communication, whether it's with your clients, whether it's with a co-broke, just putting some of those more important emails into the AI assistant to help you formulate that. The other thing that I wanted to mention too was drafting some of those more templated emails. So if you always send your buyers and sellers a very specific email with steps after they get an accepted offer, use AI to formulate that email for you and structure that. Once you have that down, what you would do, so let's just go into ChatGPT again. And I'm just going to do a general kind of prompt here regarding something like that for once my buyer gets an accepted offer, please detail the following steps. It's been accepted offer. Please detail the steps prior to closing. Include fields for dates and deadlines and other information they would need to know. Again, yours is going to be a lot more specific because I'm sure a lot of you already have something like this, but basically you want to put that into the AI model as the prompt. You could also, if you have it, saved as like a Google Doc or a PDF file, you could upload that, whether that's in ChatGPT or it's Gemini through your Google suite, through your KW email. You could just upload that, have it kind of tweak it and like define it a little bit more. But let's see what this gives me. I just want to get something to copy and paste into an email template. So, all right. So there's my format here. And obviously I would have to go through and review this but for right now, just to show you those templates. And maybe I want to do a little less emojis, and I can also give that feedback to the AI model, remove emojis, keep it more simple, that sort of thing. So, but for now, I'm going to copy that. And I just want to show you guys where you can create those email templates. So within your Gmail account, you would click into this gear icon, the settings, and you're going to click see all settings. So once you're in there, you're going to see just the general tab, but then you've got all these other tabs at the top. If you click on advanced, you want to first ensure that this template section you have enabled. So I think it's defaulted to disabled. That's why I wanted to show you this setting. So make sure that this is toggled on, and then just hit save changes once that's done. So now if I compose an email, and I want to say, congratulations on your accepted offer. Here are the next steps. And then I could copy and paste that. So there we go. Again, this is a little much. I don't know if I would have all of these emojis in here. I might also want to kind of change up the size of the text and that sort of thing, just to make it a little bit more compact. So I'm going to view it this way. Again, and I would also probably start inputting some of these dates and have it be a little bit more concise. But again, just wanted to show you guys the general idea for creating these templates. So once you have the content loaded into the email, and that includes your subject line, what you're going to do is you'll basically want to save this as a template. So you'll go down here to this toolbar and you'll click those three dots for more options. Then you'll see templates. So I'm going to see everything that I've already created as a template, but to create a new one, I'm going to scroll down and click on Save Draft as Template. That's also going to allow me to override an existing template, but for now, I'm going to save it as a new template. So again, you're going to click those three dots, hover over templates, save draft as template, and save as new template. And you can even rename it. So if you didn't want it to pull the exact subject line that you have entered, maybe it's more simplified, like buyer accepted offer. Save. And if I can disregard that draft. But now if I go to compose again, and I click more options, go to templates, that newest one is going to be at the top there. So here I see buyer accepted offer. I can click that and boom, it populates that template directly in my email so that I'm not needing to copy and paste that every time or rewrite it. It's saved and it's ready to go. One thing to note too with templates is that your email signature will also populate. So what I suggest doing is actually removing your email signature when you're creating the template. So essentially what I would do right now, I would delete this entirely and then go back to more options and templates, save draft as template. I'm going to override that. So here's that one I just created. I'm going to override it without my email signature. I'm going to save it. Again, discard. So when I compose and I insert that template again, I don't have two signatures because I have it set up where my signature is going to automatically feed into any new email that I compose. That way you're not having to delete one of your email signatures every single time. So just a little trick. to kind of make sure as you're saving those templates. All right. So just wanted to show that really fast because I think it's a really, I think, easy way to streamline a lot of your email processes. Because I know a lot of us send very similar emails, whether it's to our clients, co-brokes, just make that part of your process. So make it easier on you. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. Let's get into a newsletter. So this is always a really fun one. I like how, and this is kind of where you could take your 36 touch that we talked about last week. So I'm going to pull that up again. So this is the one that we created last week. And to start out, I had said I want to build out a 36 touch campaign. I want it to include 2 emails per month, quarterly call, 2 pop-bys, client event, and then it also filled in the rest of it to make it a true 36 touch. But included in this were ideas for emails. And so it actually gave me ideas for market updates, educational tips, lifestyle and community, personal relationship building. So if you wanted to take some of these ideas and kind of put that into your newsletter, you could do that as well. So just a thought in terms of kind of where to pull some of that information. All right. So then it went into a little bit more of a breakdown with month to month, which is nice. So it's got my, basically 2 to 4 touches a month. So 2 emails, phone call, personal touch. February is just the 2 emails. March, we've got the 2 emails and the personal touch. April, we've got the call. May is a pop by. June is a personal touch. July is the call, the quarterly call, and so on and so forth. So then we also have, email subject lines or ideas, predictions for 2026, and so on and so forth. So I could kind of go off of that and structure this in terms of, okay, great. Now can you draft a template for a monthly newsletter based off of some of the email ideas provided? And this is where the AI playbook comes into play if you need ideas. So the playbook actually lists out some really great things. So act as an expert real estate copywriter. You'll use the browser and all available tools to compile the necessary details to complete this task. Generate a 400-word email newsletter in Markdown format. The audience, so you always want to state your audience, homeowners in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the Lake Country, Wisconsin area, in Ozaukee County. So you can get specific as in terms of where your audience is located. The time frame, summarize market activity and insights from the past 30 days. And then here are your sections. So we're going to have a market snapshot, which includes the median sale price based on market, any new listings. And then you have a micro trend insight. So just a 2-sentence trend from recent local news or policy changes. A homeowner tip, a community spotlight, success story. So summary of a recent buyer or seller, and a call to action. So I'm literally going to copy this. I'm going to do a new chat here. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I'm changing this in the, I'm going to say greater Milwaukee area. Summarize market activity insights from the past 30 days. I'm going to keep that as is. And then we're going to do call to action. I'm going to remove the success story just for the purpose of today. All right, so we'll see kind of based on what that gives us. Okay. So now we've got the Milwaukee market update, the last 30 days. Hello, homeowners. Here's a snapshot of what's been happening in our local real estate market over the past month, plus a trend worth watching, a tip for you, and a community highlight. I would probably go back and spruce that up a little bit. But for now, we've got at least our framework. We've got our market snapshot. So we've got the median sale price in Milwaukee. So I would also, obviously, this is great. It's citing its sources, but take a look at those sources as well, especially for those market updates, more of that data that you're pulling in. Days on market, new listings. You can also take the MLS market snapshots that are emailed out to you and go off of those emails. We also put together those a little bit more specific emails that you can send your clients with that MLS data. So our marketing concierge, we put those together every single month. So if you want to actually just take that image or some of that content from that email that we create, you could also incorporate that into your newsletter if you're doing something similar to this. Micro trend insight. So in recent reports, Milwaukee is being described as holding up better than any other major US housing market, with 12% year-over-year increase in home prices and prices rising about 8.2%. So that is pulling from Redfin. Also, many homeowners remain reluctant to list their homes, partly due to favorable mortgage rate locks during previous years. Another thing to think about too is some of the data that Charlie provided on Tuesday during team meeting regarding demographics for home buyers, how seniors are buying more homes than Gen X and or Gen Z and millennials. So that could be part of that micro trend insight. And then you could have it linking to that full article as well. Got a homeowner tip, community spotlight, and then the call to action. If you'd like a personalized estimate of what your home could sell for in today's market, just reply. Happy to run the numbers for you. So, like I said, I would probably spruce this up a little bit. I would want that intro to be a little bit more fun, insightful, a little bit more engaging, I think. And then just kind of think through some of these sections, how you can make them a little bit more personalized in terms of your audience and the data that you want to pull exactly. So this is a very, I would say, generic breakdown from that prompt given in the playbook. But just wanted to showcase that, how you can get started. But it is also good that it's showing those sources, because I did say, what was that? It was in there somewhere. Oh, I think, yeah, somewhere in there to include exactly like the data. And if it doesn't, then make sure I could go in and say, please include the site sources. So one of those hacks. Okay. Any questions on the newsletter? And I would say too, like you can take some of these specific email ideas. Let's just say, real estate predictions for 2026, and kind of say like, what is everyone saying? Put that together in an email. So I could do this. Let's say I'm putting together an email blast to send to my database. Write this as I am a real estate expert. The subject line is pull from recent market updates from notable sources and make sure to cite sources. This is specifically for the 5-county metro Milwaukee area. Another email blast. Yeah, and you could get more specific too in terms of character count, words, things like that. But I'm going to start with that and see what I get from there, and then I can go in and give it feedback. All right, so I got my subject line. Okay, as we approach 2026, I wanted to share my insights and forecasts for the Metro Milwaukee real estate market. Based on recent data, broader economic trends, here's what buyers, sellers, and investors should watch out for. Okay, so we've got some trends here. Slower but steady home price appreciation. So again, these are all then cited. Inventory remains a constraint. Rental and multifamily markets staying tight. Interest rates and affordability will be a major factor. So on and so forth. All right, and then we've got our predictions here. Okay, so this structures it pretty well. This gives you some really good ideas for this type of an email blast. Things to keep an eye out for. So you could have multiple different sections and kind of lay out the newsletter in that type of way. And again, so if you're using Command, there's ways in which you can go in and create that email design, and then you're just copying and pasting this content in there. So you could have these dividers and you can have maybe some headlines for each of these sections. That's also where you can get a little creative. Go into Canva, create your own newsletter headers and footers, or different like header sections for these. So that's where you can get really creative. And if you're doing something like a newsletter consistently every single month, then a lot of that is going to stay the same. So once you build it every single month, then you're just going to make a copy and paste that new content in there. But the header, the footer, some of those headlines, if those sections are going to stay the same, then you won't have to touch those. It's just the content, the text. And there we go. All right. Okay, I want to move into just a couple other things here. So going back to that playbook. So there's also, and they list out so many different examples, you guys. This is really such a good playbook in terms of like getting ideas for how you can utilize an AI assistant. But if you're looking at putting together a specific relocation guide, how to do that, what sections to include, housing news, use this prompt when you want to stay educated as a local economist of choice. If you want to brush up your knowledge on a specific area in Milwaukee, you can take a look at this prompt. Role play. So, if you're, handling like different objections from buyers or sellers, or, just want to kind of brush up your skills on some of those conversations that you're having during listing appointments or buyer consults. Social intelligence. Use this prompt before meeting a prospect to find easy, natural ways to build rapport, and without coming off like a LinkedIn stalker. That's kind of funny. Enter their name and city, and you'll get subtle connection points to help you break the ice without being rehearsed. So a lot of different things that you can think of how to utilize. Competitive analysis. Use this when you're tired of guessing why the other business keeps winning listings, or why a specific realtor keeps getting listings in your neighborhood. Use this just to kind of break down their strategies but also to help you identify their weaknesses and any gaps in their business that then you can use to kind of swoop in and include in your listing presentations if you keep losing out on certain listings. Operations analysis. So bulletproof your transaction from contract to close. So you can drop in images of your existing workflows and then let this prompt audit your processes, just to catch any inefficiencies that you may have. All right. And then it kind of goes into a little bit more of like specifically about the home. I like that the like inspection estimator. Think about uploading your inspection report into an AI assistant and have that generate more of a breakdown of like a line by line like cost estimate for certain things for your buyers. So you can utilize that prompt for that. Appraisal insights, red flag finder. Does this contract look okay to you? I don't know how much you're going to use something like this. I also just make sure, I would say, reach out to one of our compliance brokers if anything does look fishy or you have questions on contracts. Tax strategy optimization, mortgage mastery. I mean, they have every single topic in here to use AI for, essentially. I really like this one. Get your 411 dialed in. Like Gary's about to check your calendar. So this one helps you link your actions to your goals to build a 411 that actually drives results. So, bulletproof that 411, kind of has the structure laid out here. And then each weekly session, follow the script. So it kind of helps you follow that 411. Instead of them just being goals, take action on those goals and exactly how are you going to do that. All right. And then the MREA org model. You want to make your first hire. Falls into family reunion even. And then we've got those compliance tips. So make sure to read those. Obviously, the TCPA prohibits AI voice calls unless you have received prior express written consent to call that recipient. Use your images compliantly, including those you upload into an AI tool. Don't upload images into an AI tool unless you have the copyright owner's permission to do so. Additionally, AI companies' terms and conditions may require you to disclose if an image or person is generated by AI or altered with AI, like virtual staging. So be sure to do so if required. Do not use AI to create content you wish to protect with copyright. So under current US laws, only human authored works can be copyrighted. So AI generated content is generally not protected. Protect client confidentiality. So obtain informed consent before uploading client personal data or any other confidential or sensitive information into AI tools. AI can be unreliable. So keep that in mind. We kind of talked about that with like the myths. You can use AI to help create content, but it's important that all your content is checked for accuracy before publishing anything, just to avoid making any misleading or deceptive statements. So always make sure to check your work. I feel like I'm back in grade school, but make sure to check the AI assistant's work. Make sure that those sources are accurate and that the data that you're publishing onto social media or your email newsletters is reliable and it is accurate. Follow all applicable advertising laws. Even if you use AI, you still need to ensure that you're following all of those advertising rules, like including your brokerage name, DBA license. So really, essentially, it's providing that brokerage affiliation that you are with Keller Williams Realty. Like any sort of marketing materials, having that KW logo on there, always have that brokerage affiliation on any marketing and materials that you send out. And then keep it ethical, of course. Should be self-explanatory. All right. That is it for the playbook. So I hope that was helpful. I hope it broke it down a little bit more for you guys in terms of how to take action with how to utilize the playbook in your business. Does anyone have any final thoughts, questions? ideas.
I might have
All right.
missed this on a another call, but and I'm sorry if I missed it during today's, but just the whole scheduling of when to look and grab the ideas from and then turn them into something like an email or a regular social post. Is there a way to help keep you organized, um, to be able to go and grab and create the content that's using AI, or is it just you going to AI and asking for ideas and then grabbing them and just set up a calendar reminder to do it?
Yeah, it's going to be more so kind of thinking through like that 36 touch, how it then broke it out by month with like email, subject lines. You do that even for social media. But kind of having that framework put together and then having that structure and saving that and then kind of building it out from there. So it'd be a little bit more of just going in and then creating that social post or that email blast. That's part of your 36 touch. Um, you'd have to kind of go in and do that. And you might just have ways in which like your Google Calendar, you have those set reminders where you're going in and then, furthering that prompt in terms of like what content you're looking to create for the next couple of weeks. Um, so I would do it something like that. I'm sure there's ways as well that you can get more triggered task reminders and have it connected a little bit more with like the AI tool. But that's just something that I think, more of like those versions are going to have a little bit more of. Um, does that help answer your question
Yeah,
a
and
little bit?
is there a way is there a way that they could look specifically on my social media and say, okay, you've been doing a lot of these. I would suggest you.
Yeah, I think you should be able to just even copy and paste like your profile link into like the AI assistant and have
Okay.
then it analyze it. Again, it's dependent on like the free version versus pro version. Um, one thing that I've been really liking to use, and I think I mentioned this maybe last week, there's a web browser and it's only for MacBooks right now, but it's called DIA,
Mm, okay.
and it's basically AI is integrated within that web browser. I think there's even another option so that whatever you're working on or whatever tabs you have open, you can reference. And the chat is just built into that web browser. So if you're on your social media page, you could kind of ask it like, analyze my social media. Are there any holes that I'm missing? How can I optimize, better engagement with my followers, that sort of thing.
Okay. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a ton of tools. It's kind of just like playing around with multiple at the same time. Honestly, what I would do is, log into ChatGPT, log into Gemini, and ask it the same question and compare the responses. And then you can decide which one you like to use best within your business and personal too.
Got it.
Well, thank you guys for joining me. Appreciate that. All of these are recorded and uploaded to YouTube. So if you missed the first couple weeks, feel free to watch those back and those are available. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.